Hello everyone, and welcome back to Chasing Adventures. Today I got another light to install on the Subaru Outback Wilderness, and it is the Auxbeam 360 Pro Series LED lights. So let's get to it. So if you've been following my channel, I recently upgraded and installed more LED lights on the Subaru Outback Wilderness. And when Auxbeam asked me to review their Pro Series lights, I said yes. And I'll tell you why in just a bit. But first, let's see what's all in the box and the specs of this light. And do stay till the end, as I will show a demonstration of these lights in the dark. So when this box came in the mail, I was a bit surprised how big it was. And when I opened the box, I was even more surprised because how big these lights were. This thing is huge. And this Auxbeam 360 Pro Series is their top of the line LED lights. And you have a choice in either 7-inch, which I received, or 9-inch. And they come pre-assembled, as you can see, with wiring harness kit, which includes waterproof connectors, a switch with the fuse relay with the fuse included, and finally the mounting hardware to mount the lights. And looking at this light, in the middle, it has one powerful KW3 LED chipset surrounded by 12 smaller LEDs. It has combination of spots and flood pattern, and the power output is 115 watts each. And on paper, the brightness of these lights are 33,332 lumens. And yes, I read it correctly. And if that's true, these lights will be super bright and should illuminate far down the road. And the color temperature is 6900 Kelvin with IP68 waterproof rating. And is made out of rugged die-cast aluminum body and designed for optimal heat dissipation. And it has impact-resistant polycarbonate lens for long-lasting durability. And feeling the light, it does feel solid and very well made. And I got this optional snap-on amber cover, and it changes the color temperature to 3200 Kelvin, which is optimal for driving in fog or in the rain. And I also got this black cover because although the lens is made out of impact-resistant polycarbonate material, I still want more protection because these are going to be mounted in front of the car, which is prone to rock chips. And most importantly, to be street legal. And trust me when I say this because I actually got a ticket for not having blackout covers on my light bar long time ago. So I learned my lesson, and as a good law-abiding citizen that I am, I'm going to put these cover when driving in the city streets. And to mount these lights in front of the car, we need a light bracket. And I know there are some aftermarket options, but most needs cutting into the bumper or are super expensive. And I've been thinking about making a bracket for a while using the existing tow hooks, and this is still work in progress. And I also know that ADF now makes a mount that bolts directly onto the tow hook screws. But again, I want to utilize the existing tow hooks and make something myself. And it's made from scratch using aluminum bars that I picked up from Lowe's. But if ADF wants to send me their light bars for me to test and review, I'll be more than glad to do it. And I went with Amble D-ring because they were the only company that has screws to hold the bolts rather than the pins. And those pins were scratching up the bumper and stuck out like sore thumb. And plus, I put Amble D-rings on the tow hitch about a year ago, and so far, so good. So I went straight to Amble for the D-rings. And I put these cone-shaped noise isolator, which is so much better than the ones that came with the D-ring because it would still rattle up and down, but now the D-ring doesn't make any rattling noise anymore. And if you're going to be installing multiple lights like I am, I highly recommend getting a switch panel because it will make the installation so much easier and cleaner. And can you imagine running multiple switch wires through the firewall on this car? I mean, once was hard enough and I'm never going to do that again. And if you want to check out my initial light installation video where I run the wires through the firewall and want to hear my frustration, I'll leave the link in the video description, so check it out after this video. And I also leave links to all the parts that I'm using today in the video description as well. And after connecting the wires to the LED lights, I cut the wires, and all I have to do is connect it to the switch panel. And the ground wires, I'm going to join them together and put the ground right here behind the fuse box. And that's it. And that's it. It was very easy and simple installation since I had the 6-gang switch panel and the lights came pre-assembled. And I agreed to reviewing this product even though I have enough lights to light my path. But one of the main reasons was, and this is purely my experience, but if you're caught driving in fog or rain, or let's say you're chasing someone and there's a lot of dust in front of you, turning on the roof-mounted bars will actually decrease your visibility because it's illuminating from above. And a lot of the times when I have my Tacoma with the roof-mounted LED bars and a bumper-mounted LED bars, I barely use the roof-mounted LED bars in those situations and use the bumper-mounted LED bars most of the time. And while the 2-inch nose-size spotlights that I recently installed works great for illuminating far distance, but I also need wide range of visibility, and from my testing, the combination of the roof-mounted LED bars and the 2-inch spotlights works perfectly on a clear night. But thinking ahead, if I'm driving in not so ideal condition, I would need something to substitute my roof-mounted LED bars. So I think this combination would work great in foggy or rainy weather condition. And plus, more the merrier, right? And I always wanted a Baja style lights in front of the bumper. I don't know, I think it has this cool factor. So those were my reasonings, and let's wait till the nightfall to test these out. All right, so now it's nightfall and I have the camera set to manual settings, so whatever I do to the lights, it's not gonna reflect the camera. So I currently have headlights with fog lights on, and I'm gonna turn on my nose-sight spotlights on and my 15-inch roof-mounted LED bars and the Auxbeam lights. Wow, this is pretty bright. Wasn't expecting that. Okay, I'm gonna turn off my light bar and the nose-sight spots off and the headlights off and spots back on and the light bar back on and the Auxbeam lights off and the spots off and the light bar. Now this time it's slightly off to the side of the car, and currently I have the headlights with fog lights on. So I'm going to turn on my nose-sight spots on and the Auxbeam lights on. Oh wow, nice. And the Auxbeam off and the spots off, and Auxbeam back on and the spots back on. All right, so this is another angle from further away, and I currently have headlights with fog lights on. I'm going to turn on the Auxbeam on and the nose-sight spots on and the 15-inch light bar on and light bar off and Auxbeam off and spots off. Now I'm going to turn on the light bar on and the spots and the Auxbeam and the nose-sight floodlights and the rock lights and the side and the rear lights, and everything off and everything back on. Now I have the amber cover on the Auxbeam, so I have the headlights with fog lights on and the Auxbeam on with the ambers and the spots on without the amber cover and the spots off, Auxbeam off and Auxbeam back on and the headlights off. So what y'all think? And I don't know if the camera captured what I saw, but man, this thing is bright, and it's so bright you could actually feel the heat coming up from the front of the lights. So I'm very pleased with the performance of these lights. And of course, I still have to do real world testing, and especially in not so ideal weather condition, but overall, I think this was another successful installation. But if I need to nitpick, I notice it has this rectangular shape coming from the middle, and I guess that's because the way KW3 LED is shaped, but I just wish it was less noticeable. And I have to lift the lights up to fit the covers, and that means I have to readjust the lights every time I put the covers on and off. But other than that, and considering this is still somewhat budget-friendly option, I could oversee those slight negatives. So I want to thank Auxbeam for sending out their product for me to test so I could share my experience with you guys. And again, I'll leave the links to all the items that was used today in the video description, and check out my other Subaru related videos too, because pretty much everything I have done to the car, I made a video of it. and hopefully those videos will help you guys out on making your decision. And if this video was helpful and informative, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel, which will help the channel grow so I could produce more videos for you guys. So thank you all for tuning in, and until next time, keep chasing adventures, and bye for now.